Hello, guys. Welcome Allow TV again. And this is a special interview tonight because this is a live one. And with, I must admit, I'm sorry, but this is one of my favorite band ever. So, welcome, Gothminister. Welcome, Bjørn.
Thank you, Lao TV. So,
Yeah, very welcome. So, don't forget, you can ask your questions directly to Bjorn from Gothminister about this new album. It's called Pandemonium, and it's out today. So
yeah,
my
and now we're
first,
live. We're live, right? So we can't do the take over again. So
yeah.
if we
So
screw up, we screw up.
let us know about what's the feedback because it's out today. It seems that the fans are really pleased and happy about this new one.
I hope so. We had 4 singles with 4 videos.
Yeah.
And I was actually amazed because our director, Daniel William Bones, he started to send in the videos to festivals, which was a whole new experience for us because it was great promotion. And actually, the music video Pandemonium, believe it or not, won 12 movie awards. And Demons, until now, won 3 movie awards, and is still probably gonna be nominated for more. So that was a totally new experience, and that was great.
And you're right. So many so many videos for this new album.
Yes, and then we had the single "This Is Your Darkness" entering #1 in Germany on the alternative charts, which also was our first time.
Hmm.
That was a great blast. And in addition to that, we have now nearly 300,000 monthly listeners on Spotify, which
Great.
actually I think makes us the third biggest Norwegian metal band in the world on Spotify.
Really?
So that's quite cool. So we just have to beat Mayhem and Dimmy Borger, and then we're #1. So, but that's gonna be tough.
Wow. This is a great yeah. And you were talking about the video clip, and they are really splendid. There are some. I'd like to know where did you shoot these videos? Like for instance, the clip in the castle. Was it shot in Norway?
Yes, it was shot in Norway, and both Germany and France, you have such great old castles and
Castles.
churches, and we have almost nothing but there is an old Gothic church in the center of Oslo city, which was threatened to be teared down in the 80s, I believe, but they protected it and they restored it because it was really old and worn out. And now actually they have a lot of concerts inside there. So I was discussing with Daniel, the director, about locations, and suddenly he suggested us that we're going to record in that church. We also recorded. We got permission from the Norwegian military to film also at the fortress of Oscarsborg, which is a totally different location. And then finally, the director had this idea to have miniatures. So he actually painted all the miniatures, and I found the miniatures on eBay, and it's from the same era, around 1880. So it's a new Gothic era, and the idea was to build a Gothminister city. I had this idea for many years, but now we finally realized it.
Uh, by the way, I visited this year the Bran Castle in Romania. I think it could be a, a great spot for
Yeah,
you. You know.
yeah, yeah. That sounds great. We also played in the UK in Whitby, which is also connected to the Dracula story, of course, because Bram Stoker was writing a lot of the stuff there, etc. So this is also a great location, and I mean that, yeah, very exciting.
So thank you everyone for your commentaries. Been a fan for years. Was wondering if you were ever would consider touring the USA, specifically Atlanta, Georgia.
Yeah, of course, we've been to the US several times, but not as much as European tours. We had our first US tour in 2007 and been back for some festivals, but um, it's a bit hard to go that far to play. But we hope we're going to come back sooner or later, at least for some festivals and maybe a tour again. So that's definitely a priority, because if you look at our statistic and the fan base, lots of fans from the US.
Yeah, seems that there are some fantastic. Tom said fantastic, but when you played in 2007, um, maybe it was easier, because now it seems that it's really difficult to tour because of the costs of the buses. And when you are in the States, you can tour. It's really hard to tour in the whole the USA. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
most of the time it's a loss of money, right?
Yeah, back then we toured from East Coast to, or actually from West Coast to East Coast,
Yeah.
then back to the West Coast, and then back to the East Coast. But we have like a flight tour, so we took flights 4 times across the US in 14 days to make all the shows from Portland to New Haven in the East. Uh, After that, I was called by KMFDM, who want to do a tour with KMFDM, The Krups, and Gothminister in the US, which we were really excited about, but that unfortunately got cancelled also because of the costs. So, yeah, we'll see now. I think it's difficult to tour because we have a delay because of the COVID situation.
Yeah. So you said the director of your video clips is Daniel, right?
Yes.
And Daniel wrote us. It's an
Hi,
update.
Daniel.
Demons and has won best music video and best music video director to the Sweden Film Awards. So congratulations, Daniel. And in fact, it's a total of five, five,
Yeah.
five
Okay. Yeah.
awards for
Yeah.
this album.
Yeah. That's a great. So then we're up to 12 awards for Pandemonium and 5 for Demons. That's 17 awards, actually. Wow, I didn't know that. This is totally new to me when Daniel said it right now. Thank you, Daniel, for the great work. I also want to, of course, during this interview, mention a lot more people, because it's definitely not me who is kind of behind all this. We have Tor Eigil Scheide, who is a brilliant photographer and also did all the editing on all the videos. So he's excellent too. So Daniel and Tor and me, we are like, a great team, and we've done all the videos for Gothminister during the years together.
Okay. And of course the musicians too. And they are. It seems that when I saw you maybe 4 years ago in Germany in Heidelberg, you were playing with Asp, and they split
Yeah,
now, but it's the same lineup, right? In Gottminister.
yeah, it's the same lineup. It's Chris on drums and Glenn on guitars, Ketil on guitars. Eirik is playing bass on the albums. Maybe we're gonna have him live as well. And we also have a singer called Annette Gill, who was introduced on the last album, The Other Side, and now also joining us on this album.
Yeah.
And along with her, we have Hege Rødfjell, who is a great singer who also did backing and all the choirs and also some arrangements for this, because she suddenly told me that she had experience from doing some dubbing for Disney movies, actually, and then they kind of learned and studied how to do vocal arrangement and so on. And Hege is a good friend of my wife, Elizabeth, who I also have to thank, of course, because she's holding on all these years with all these crazy ideas I have. It's not so easy trying to lead a normal life, and your husband is just sitting doing makeup, and I was just out with the dog. I'm not a person hanging upside down like a bat, I'm actually a normal person. I was out running with the dog before I came in here, and I had really little time, so the makeup just flew all over, and I just had time to get in here. So because the dog we have a puppy, so it went crazy. So it's a tough life.
So you have your own bat cave or some stuff like this where you can.
No, I mean we played especially we played a lot of tours, but I remember especially in the Netherlands. There were some fans who were all dressed up, and that's really nice. I like with this genre, but I was at backstage and I was totally unaware of anybody wanting to say hello, and I was nice, but I think I had a hoodie on and was eating some soup, and they looked at me and they were so disappointed, so they just left because I was just a normal guy. so I mean, this is when I had the thought that if I had been hanging upside down, from the roof, from the ceiling, then all dressed up, then probably it would have met their expectations. But you have to know that we are also like normal people behind the makeup, and yeah, so that was a bit fun. But I totally respect that people also want to be serious about imagery and stuff. But we have a lot of fun, and I think most people have a lot of fun with this, basically. So it's great.
By the way, I'd like to know about the inspiration of the video clips. I was watching one of them, and it was like Dance of the Vampires from Polanski. Is it one of your inspiration or Daniel inspiration?
I don't know, Daniel. I've never seen it, but
No, it's
Daniel has seen most of
of the
all
vampires
films
movie.
and stuffs. Yeah,
So let's ask
he's
to Daniel here.
yeah. Let's ask Daniel. No, not really, but I think we had both some thoughts about, actually, like you mentioned, the Bram Stoker Dracula, that movie, which has great imagery, and I think we're both fans also of a
Nosferatu.
film called The Cell,
Yeah.
for example, and these, but Daniel has a lot of experience, and he has seen all movies, so he's the master here.
Okay, one question from Tom. Again, thank you, Tom. What are the other bands or artists that have an influence on your music and style? Maybe
Yeah.
at the beginning, or are you? I think you have your very own style. You're pretty unique today, and so maybe what was the first influence?
Well, like everyone else, I think, or a lot of people, I grew up listening to the radio. At least for my generation, I was listening to the radio, and I was having a cassette player and recording whatever I liked from the radio. And then I had a friend who was a bit older than me, and he was actually listening to heavy metal. So believe it or not, we met on tennis court, but we started listening to heavy metal and watching horror movies together. So that tennis, metal, horror movies. That's a good combination. And this is what got me into heavy metal. And I remember the first metal concert I went to was Manowar Kings of Metal tour at the Oslo Rockefeller Music Hall, and I was together with these older, tougher guys. And actually, I didn't get my jeans ready, so I had black pants, and they were spitting on my pants in the line into the concert.
Wow.
So because I was much smaller than them, so, but when we got inside, I bought a t-shirt, and I knew all the lyrics and then they kind of respected me because they saw that I was a true live fan. Then we listened to a lot of bands like Halloween, and we went into the thrash metal scene with Creator, and death metal scene with Death, and of course Iron Maiden, Metallica. Then we listened to a lot of grunge music in that era in the 90s, and then we had some bands, but I think some eye openers for me was definitely the Downward Spiral by Nine Inch Nails, and Antichrist Superstar by Nine Inch Nails also. No, Marilyn Manson, but really Nine Inch Nails also in a way, because of course, Trent was producing it. So it was
Yeah.
kind of a Nine Inch Nails album to me, with the front character, which was brilliant at that time, Marilyn Manson, which kind of Trent never was. He was more of a mellow guy on stage, but Marilyn Manson took it like really far. So it's a great combination with kind of this combo with these two guys.
I like too Marilyn Manson at the late 80s. It was really great on stage. Whereas
it
was a disaster.
90s.
Yeah, in the 90s. But I saw them. Sorry to say that, but I saw them 3 or 4 years ago at Hellfest and Download in Paris, and it was catastrophic.
Yeah. Other bands, Swans. I'm a great fan of Michael Gira and Swans, and a few years ago, a friend of ours is together with the drummer who played with Swans, but also plays with Nick Cave and a lot of other bands too. So we were invited to meet them backstage, and it's great to kind of have the chance to meet your the stars from your youth. And I also listened a lot to Coroner, and we played with Coroner in Netherlands on a festival. So they had the backstage next to us, and it was kind of surreal, the whole thing. And also, I mean, there are so many great bands. I mean, Rammstein also came, but we had a band called Disco Judas, which was kind of like Rammstein, except that we didn't have those fast danceable beats.
Mm.
But we had all these elements, and I remember a guy at the university who said that, have you listened to Rammstein? This is how Disco Judas should sound like. But the band Disco Judas was no more in 1999, and then I formed Gothminister, and then we kind of went more for that style, because with the old band we were hiding, in the darkness and the smoke and the lights, and I was playing the drums. So we had no and I was also singing. So we had no front figure, and we also didn't have very much more, likable music. The music was quite heavy and introvert. So when I started Gothminister, I wanted to have fun on stage and let the people also have fun in the audience. So this is why we kind of changed the idea from more industrial. We were inspired with Disco Judas. We were inspired like bands like Neurosis.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't dance to Neurosis, at least if you know what I mean. So definitely Rammstein was a big influence, combining disco beats and heavy guitars. And when we then went to Germany, this is also a great story, because a friend of ours, or he became a friend of ours, he was owning a club in Oslo, booking a lot of bands, and also starting his own record label. His name is Tom Karlstad, and he released the first Gothminister EP back in early 2001. And Tom and I, we went with a car through Germany with demos giving out to DJs, and we got really ill. I mean, I had a throat infection from somewhere beyond, and we were so sick because we were at the clubs at night, and we were driving all day, all the time, moving across Germany. And also we had Glenn, the guitar player, was also joining us on the second trip. But it was really Tom who gave our EP to Tormod from Tatra, which was the record label of Apotigma Berserk and Eichner Coil in Norway. And then Tormod reached out to me and wanted to sign Gothminister. And that was great. That was my first record contract, because with the old bands, we were just releasing our own albums. And Tormod and I, after we went to Germany a couple of times to play, then Drakkar came and they wanted to sign Gothminister, and then later AFM signed Gothminister and re-released all albums. That was a long story short, but I have a lot of gratitude to Tom, who was kind of investing his money to release the first album, and this is why he joined the band. He played keyboards, and he left the band, but I told Tom that you are always welcome to be on stage with us whenever you want. And I think maybe he will join now a couple of shows again, which is great because we are old friends and also have other projects together. So this means a lot. And then you have to give back what others also gave you. You have to kind of, in return. So I'm so really lucky to have so many great people around me. And also I want to mention the live crew we have with Hugo, who is a great sound designer, Hugo Alvarstein, Norwegian, and Jonny Grødal as well on lights, and we have Anders on tech and Armin on tech, and in the studio this time as last time, Henning Verlage was mixing the records. I met him at the Meraluna Festival where we played a lot of times, and he also is behind bands like Icebreaker, and he also is a keyboard player of Heilig, which kind of caught my attention to him. He was a great sound engineer and the producer. And also Morten Lund, who has mastered the album. He's also a genius. He's hiding down in the deepest of Oslo city, but he really deserves a lot of credits. Morten Lund, the best mastering guy in the world, basically. So that was kind of what we have on the album.
It's a team.
It's a team, and there's lots of people I also want to thank for the film. We can take it later. We also have to answer some questions, I guess.
Yeah, no problem. And Tommy, again, he speaks about his work on playlist. And have you heard Lord of the Lost, the last album?
Yes, we are kind of friends. We met in Germany. I think we played some DJing together, and Chris Harms. I talked to him because we were looking for a new booking agency, and he recommended us. Now we have the same booking agency as Lord of the Lost.
Thanks to him.
Extra Tours. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's a great band, and they had great success for the past years, and I really love their music. So yeah, it's a good German friend and a great band.
I can't wait for the Paris show in the next weeks. And Sydney is talking about the dark side. And of course, it was a really great album. Tour dates in next year, and is going to Norway for New Year's and maybe Germany. So I think the question is, of course, you will play. Nothing's confirmed yet, but
we have a few shows confirmed, but we have a waiting list because of COVID. So we play in Norway, in Oslo, on the 12th of November. That's kind of the release show in Norway. Maybe you won't get in time for that, but we also play in Finland on the 5th of November on Helsinki Industrial Festival, and we're also booked for the Meraluna next year on the main stage, which is great. Always love that festival, and that's in August, so maybe that's better timing for you, maybe in Germany next year. And we're also looking into doing some shows in the UK and of course other European countries, and the UK is not confirmed yet, but we're waiting for some shows. So definitely going to be more, but we have to be patient. We're also going back to Germany in 2024 again, but there is a long waiting line. I mean, there's bands who haven't played their 2020 show yet. So this is why it's very difficult time now, and this is why we have to be a bit patient, and this is why there are not like lots of shows now, because we are almost, they say we are about 1.5 to 2 years behind because of the COVID situation.
Yeah, we can see, especially in Paris, most of the shows are not sold out, and most of the time they are really, really big shows, but too many shows. So, and there's some money problems also, but I think the fan can support you by of course watching band live.
Yeah, it's a great advice for people to just, if not leaving their cell phones, don't sit at home all day on the internet, because you have to experience real life. You have to experience live
Yeah.
bands, and go to a concert with a small band that you want to discover. You have to be like hungry to support them, because it's really hard now for artists all over. So we really need the people to support all artists as much as
And
possible.
sometimes you have great discovering bands like you. I discovered you in first part of Samael 14 years ago, and a huge fan now of yours. And of course, I was watching. Cybrid was also on the bill, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So, and Cybrid is one of my favorite band ever, and Thomas
Yeah,
is a great friend now, and so yeah, it was a great bill.
yeah, I have to say hello to them.
What about you were talking about the female singer that was singing on the last of no, it's not the Last of Us, it's on the previous album. Um,
She
so
was singing on the Sun, and also We Are the Ones Who Rule the World, also in the
yes,
music
we are
video.
the ones. Yeah. So uh, did she make all the female vocals?
No, she did a lot of them, but also Hege Rødfjell, the woman from the Disney, like I mentioned.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
She also did a lot of the choir, or contributed a lot to that. So, but Annette has kind of the lead female vocals, and then they also do choirs together on this album. And I think we're gonna experiment more with that, because I think it was very cool. And all the choirs are, uh, they're not samples; it's the real choirs, but it's friends of ours doing it instead of like a professional choir. So the song from the new album called Norge, we had some beers and we had a lot of friends to sing in. Like, I think it has maybe 150 vocal tracks. And our goal, of course, was to make kind of the answer to maybe Rammstein's Germany, but our only goal was that our choir should be more massive and bigger than Rammstein. So I don't know if we managed that, but definitely it's a big shout out on the song Norway, and a lot of fun, of course.
I feel the album really really different from the dark. It's not the Dark Side. Sorry, the previous album, The Other Side. Um,
Yeah, all my titles are nearly the same. So
so
always something with darkness. I have
yeah,
to
yeah, of
rename it
course,
myself.
sure.
Yeah.
This is why we love that. What's the yeah? It seems that maybe there are more keys. More. Did you write? I have the impression that you wrote the previous album with more guitars, and that's more with more keyboards.
Maybe. I'm not sure. I walk around with my phone, and suddenly I have an idea, and I sing into the phone, and I could walk in the streets, and people maybe think I'm crazy or something is wrong with that guy. He's just singing into his phone, but it's just some riffs. But it could sound really stupid, but anyways, it's uh, it's maybe, as you say. Of course, now it comes out that we have to fix something here. 1 second. I just have to. There we go. Yeah, maybe you're right. Keys or guitars, whatever works. I mean, you have to just find out what works out. Either a song works or not, and a lot of songs are just being canned from albums. Can pick them up later and see. But what is quite new on this album, I think, sound-wise, is also the guitar sound and the bass sound, because we really wanted to have work a lot more with the guitar sound. I was never totally happy with it. had two goals: have a more explosive guitar sound, and down-tuned guitars on some songs, and also this controlled, deep, round, low end, because I felt earlier albums, some of them didn't have enough bass, basically.
Yeah.
And this is maybe more of a hip hop R&B influence, because R&B, hip hop, they always have this really massive bass, or mostly a lot of times. And if you listen to old recordings, the sound recording could be quite crappy, but if the bass kind of drives the whole song, the drums could be not as punchy as today, but always have this focus on low end. And with experience, you kind of think that you learn a lot. And I saw an interview with a great producer talking about low end, which is really important in having a good sound. So our first mixes we sent to Morten in the mastering studio, and we work really a lot with having a lot of bass on it. And the first thing he said, it's too little bass. So this is what we worked a lot with, the guitar and bass sound on this album, and I really much more happy with it than on previous albums. Maybe somebody hears it, I don't know, but we were focused on that.
Okay. And what about the lyrics? The previous one was kind of concept album with the afterlife, and we can have we had a chat, and we had a previous video interview, guys, you can check out. And what did you get in mind for the lyrics for this new album?
Well, the first story I had in mind was the Pandemonium, of course, the title track. And this story had the idea, and it developed along with Daniel when we made the music video. So the story, of course, of a city ruled by Gothminister, the city of Gothminister, it constantly became more evil, and we found out that the inhabitants in this city, they make an uproar, because I already made the lyrics for the Pandemonium song, so we took this as the first step. And during the process of writing the video, we also found out that those who destroy the king, they have a leader, of course, and he will become the new king. And then the evilness continues, so he kind of inherits this evilness. And this is when it all fall into place, because we have this quote from Friedrich Nietzsche.
Yeah.
And he should be known to most people, and he has this quote about the abyss, which fits perfectly. If you should be careful when you fight monsters, because if you look too deep into the abyss will look back into you. And this is kind of the concept also of Pandemonium, that I think not only evilness, but I think more importantly that the obsess of having power. This leads the new king to kind of inherit the evilness of the first king. And this is also relevant in the world today. I believe that history repeats itself, and you have these. And then this story kind of continues more or less in a lot of songs on the album, and we really wanted to make some of the music videos for the same theme. What is also interesting, I think, is that the first video I made together with Daniel and Toris was Dark Side in 2008. And then we made Ich will alles video for the other side. But before that, again, Utopia, of course, the full movie. And if you look closely in the Utopia, in the end, in the outro film, because Utopia has a CD and it has a DVD with a live show where the audience is zombies and monsters, but it also has an intro film where I represent myself as a lawyer and go into this kind of madness, darkness, nightmare, a little bit inspired by Alice Cooper, Welcome to My Nightmare. And it ends with me in a hospital, like waking up as a corpse, laying bloody on the ground. And this little girl I followed all the time, who led me into this nightmare, she suddenly has an evil face. It's a monster. if you look closely, this monster also is controlling the Ouija board in Ich will alles video, and this monster now comes back also in the Pandemonium video, grabbing the uproarer's head, and it also comes back in This Is Your Darkness and in the Demons video. So the idea is that there is something evil controlling this whole universe with Gothminister in it. So it evolves, and Daniel and I, we're already now working on the follow-up to these videos with a new song again. So we're constantly working on this story, which is evolving, basically.
Okay. It seems that your brain never stops.
It never stops. That's
Question
both
of
good and bad.
sorry?
Yeah, that's both good and also a little bit bad.
Yeah, sometimes, yeah. A question from Sydney. Any plan from releasing a DVD like Utopia?
Well, actually, we have a DVD coming out this Christmas, before Christmas, which is not announced yet, but AFM also released. So we have worked both on all these music videos and with the album, and also with the DVD, which will assemble all music videos ever released. And we also have a lot of cool behind the scenes material from both Utopia and Pandemonium, and also commentaries by Daniel and me, and a lot of other stuff. So you just have to look forward to that as well.
Great.
Coming out in December.
Thank you, Liz. Yeah, thank you, Sydney, for this great question. And Tom is writing, and it seems that you inspired him because he writes novel, and one of his character is listening to Dusk Till Dawn in his novel. So it's great, no?
That's great. That's great. Thank you. Well, I think creative minds, we all inspire each other, and that's great. That's a gift. I think that's really interesting. You have to give me the references so I can read your books or novels.
Yeah. It seems that the book, he published 6 books, and seems like it's
excellent. I have to check it out.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you very much. Thank you very much again for this great new album, and of course we can't wait to see you live. The book is available on Amazon.com.
Cool. Yeah, the album was released today on AFM Records, and it's available on Spotify. And you can also both buy a CD and also a vinyl this time. So it's also available on LP.
Yeah.
And I really love that format. So I kind of feel it's the first time I'm releasing a proper album when it's also on vinyl, because that's kind of the old school way to do it. And also, since we're here, I just want to thank some people, if that's okay, because
no problem.
They really deserve it. So when we were talking about equipment, I really want to thank Henning Michaelsen for building my music machine and all that, and all constantly helping me, being so supportive. I mean, with all plugins and all that, because I'm not like really technical. I'm more creative, and he's both, I think, but he helps me a lot with the technical stuff. Also, Rico Durham, if you're watching, great work with the guitar plugins and all that. And also, when we're talking about the music videos, we have a lot of friends, and they're great. And we have some, pre-listening parties where we have a few beers and we have a great time together, and they always kind of are there, and they contribute to the videos. And those are, of course, Kai Olsen, who has been helping out on all music videos, and Asle Rødfjell, who's playing the leader of the Uproarer, and also Ingeborg Heldal, Heidi Svendsen, Fredrik Eilertsen, and of course also Gard Strand. He's an upcoming SFX makeup artist who did this statue, if you remember, from the Pandemonium, with this very special makeup. And also Fie Barro. She's been with us for years, but this time she couldn't make it. So we were laughing a lot when suddenly I won 2 SFX awards because she couldn't make it, so I had to do my makeup alone. So that was, but of course, thanks to her, because she gave me many advices, for the king's makeup, which I did, but under her instructions, with this destroyed face with all the details and so. And we have a great team. We have AFM Records with Lea, Vanessa, and Timo. We have Extra Tours with Ludwig. We have Torolf with music merch, and we also have Ole Tom, who helped us with recording. He's great, and of course we have a guy in Germany who I really am grateful getting to know, and his name is Eric Burton, because he introduced us to this German scene. He knows everyone. He works for Heartbeat Propaganda, and he's kind of learned me so much about the German scene and introduced us to so many people. So Eric, if you're out there, thank you so much, man. I mean, it's so important to know who have helped you and to give something back.
And there are no German lyrics on this album.
No German lyrics, but we have Norwegian lyrics in Norge. So we're kicking back with Norwegian lyrics on one song at least.
And let's hope for French lyrics next time.
Yeah, we should do some French lyrics. Je vais essayer.
Ah, you're wonderful. Thank you very much, Bjørn, again. And to finish, what's your favorite song of the album?
Oh, that's difficult. When I made this album and I was thinking about which song is the first single, it was Pandemonium, because it's almost 6 minutes long.
Yeah.
It would probably not shock the fans, but at least make them think a little bit, because they used to maybe upbeat, with disco rhythms and some heavy guitars. So I made this more progressive song also because in these days we live in a world where the attention span is so short. You have TikTok and you just slide and flip and whatever, and you have like 2 seconds attention span. So let's give them almost 6 minute song and see what they have to say, and always go a little bit against. I believe in, like, the art is resistance, and I would say that Pandemonium is probably one of my biggest favorites on the album, because it's a bit different and it was cool. Some people liked it and some, I think, didn't like it at all. They didn't understand a lot of the rhythmics and all that.
Rhythm.
Yeah, the rhythm. But this is great. I mean, whatever makes people think, whatever makes people react, and you cannot please them all. But I don't care, because I have to make music I want to listen to. So if I'm lucky that at least a few people like the same music, have the same taste, then I'm really happy. But everyone is entitled to have their own taste, and that's the whole point. And the whole point, I think, in this life is to have fun, because if we don't have fun, why are we here?
Yeah, you're so right. Thanks to everyone. Thanks to Mona from All Noir too for making this interview possible. Thanks for Sydney and Tom, especially and Daniel, who watched this. And see you very, very soon.
Thank you so much, Joe, and thank you everyone.
Thank you very much. Talk to you.
Take
Bye.
care. Bye bye.
Thank you, guys.